Can we talk about something?
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Saw some of the older kids vaping. What's that about? Is it safe?
What? No. Vaping is actually really dangerous, especially for children, teens, and young adults.
What?
Yeah, guy. Most e-cigarettes contain harmful substances and nicotine. Nicotine is a highly addictive drug found in regular cigarettes, cigars, and other tobacco products. Very dangerous to a young developing mind. Most kids that start using e-cigarettes usually go on to regular cigarettes, and that's very detrimental to their future and their health.
That's crazy. I love talking to you. Thanks for explaining that.
Always.
Parents, some e-cigarettes may look like USB flash drives, pens, and other everyday items, which can make it harder for you to figure out what your preteen or teen is getting into. You might hear e-cigarettes being called by other names such as mods, vape pens, or vapes. Talk to your children about the dangers of using e-cigarettes today. For more information, visit doh.vi.gov.
My fellow Virgin Islanders, this is your Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, Jean-Pierre Oriel. For over 30 years, we've discussed the adoption of a comprehensive land and water use plan, and I am proud to say that we at DPNR are here to complete this mission. This plan will be used as a tool to make decisions on how we can protect environmentally and culturally sensitive areas, what new development looks like and where, prioritizing investments to promote fairness and equity across the territory, and more. We are asking all residents, businesses, and stakeholders to be present and share your values and ideas to help shape the final plan. We are asking all to be active participants in molding the future of our Virgin Islands. Show true VI pride and attend our upcoming town hall meetings on your respective islands. Take part in shaping our future, and I look forward to seeing you there. For more information, visit planusvi.com.
Good day, and welcome to the Government House Weekly Press Briefing for the week of February 13th. For the benefit of the radio listening audience, I am Government House Communications Director Richard Mota. Joining me this afternoon is Health Commissioner Justa Encarnacion for the latest COVID-19 data and information on where Virgin Islanders can get a COVID-19 test, vaccine, and booster this week. Along with Commissioner Encarnacion and me, we have VITEMA Director Dow Joshin for some important information on the territory's preparedness efforts in collaboration with the Environmental Protection Agency and Port Hamilton to ensure our community's safety during the removal of hazardous chemicals at the refinery. But before we go to the Department of Health this afternoon, the 175th Emancipation Committee is moving along in its efforts to commemorate the 175th anniversary of Emancipation Day in the territory on July 3rd of this year. The committee is hosting a press conference Tuesday, February 21st at 11 a.m. here at Government House in St. Croix to make several announcements, including the launch of the committee's official website, where you can get information on all of the committee's all of the work that the committee is doing and upcoming events to commemorate the 175th anniversary of Emancipation Day. They will also unveil the official 175th Emancipation commemorative license plate and reveal the names of all 175 keepers of the flame, which is a list of Virgin Islanders, past and present, who have made significant contributions to the cultural fabric of our islands. And so look forward for that this coming or next week, Tuesday, February 21st, right here at Government House. And of course, you will be able to catch that on our Facebook page, Facebook Live, facebook.com/Government House USVI, and it will also be broadcast on the Government Access channel, which is channel 27 if you have VIA. So without further delay, I will turn over this week's briefing to Commissioner Encarnacion. Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Director, and thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Today, we have a total of 115 active cases, 71 on St. Croix, 36 on St. Thomas, and 8 on St. John. We have 4 COVID-19 hospitalization, 2 at JFL on St. Croix and 2 at RLS on St. Thomas. Just 2 weeks ago, that was on January 30th, our numbers were 184 total active cases. We had 146 on St. Croix, 36 on St. Thomas, and 1 on St. John. And I gave you those numbers just so that you could see we are actually decreasing. So we would like to really stay in that trend as well. It is a regret that we do report yet another COVID-19 related fatality that occurred on February 5th. The deceased is an 85-year-old woman on St. Croix. The entire Department of Health joins me in extending our deepest condolences to her family and friends. Our ACT Fair begins on February 18th, and the Department of Health urges all attendees to remain vigilant. Remember, it's going to be a very crowded affair, so please use discretion on mask wearing, especially if you're taking someone who is more vulnerable, those that are older, those that are sicker. Carry your sanitizer with you and use it. COVID-19 is still a threat to our public health. Please stay safe. The bivalent vaccine is still the best protection for COVID-19, and everyone aged 6 months or older is urged to become vaccinated and boosted. Please remember, if you have not become vaccinated with the bivalent vaccine, you are not protected against the latest COVID-19 variants. The bivalent booster became available September of 2022, so if you have not received the booster during that time span, chances are you have not received the bivalent. Please check your card. We received 7,620 of the bivalent vaccines and administered 3,577. So that seems as though it's a little bit more than less than half. However, we don't order more unless we know we're getting close to where we need to. So go out, get your vaccine. It actually does protect you. I want to make sure that you are protected as well. For the public's convenience, vaccines are available on St. Croix for adults on the second floor of number 35 Castle Coakley, Unit 5, known as the Old Carib Home Center Building. The hours of operation for COVID-19 and influenza vaccines clinics are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday. No appointments are necessary for vaccines. For information, please call the Community Health Clinic at 340-718-1311, extension 3760 or 3796. For children, vaccines are available at the Maternity Child Health Clinic, also in the Old Caribbean Home Center Building, number 35 Castle Coakley, Unit 5. For more information, please telephone 340-718-1311, extension 3201, and or extension 3875. On St. Thomas, for adults, vaccines are available in the Community Health Clinic on the second floor of the Snyder Regional Medical Center, Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Anyone wanting a flu vaccine on St. Thomas is asked to call 340-774-7477 to arrange an appointment. For children, vaccines are available at the Maternal Child Health Clinic. Appointments can be made by telephoning 340-777-8804, extension 2600. On St. John, vaccinations are available as part of the Wednesday pop-up testing event conducted in the VI Port Authority gravel lot. Vaccines are available between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., and testing is conducted between 12 noon and 3 p.m. If you are ill, please get tested. If you have tested negative on a home test kit and continue to feel ill, seek confirmation test at the Department of Health or another provider. Anyone testing positive on the confirmation PCR test qualifies for antiviral medication that can lessen the severity of the illness, possibly shorten its duration, and avert hospitalization or death. Testing is free, remains available as follows. St. Croix, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. in the Charles Howard Memorial parking lot. That is going to continue until we have started the processes for our demolition of Charles Howard. However, you can still go there right now until we get the permit. We'll let you know when we're changing location. We'll be relocating from the current location, which is within the Charles Howard parking area, to our new parking area, which is closer to the modulars. But we will be informing you the date and time that will take place. St. Thomas, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m. at the Shadow Regional Medical Center loading dock. And St. John on Wednesday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. as indicated at the Vipa parking gravel lot. This is one day before Valentine's Day. Thank you for listening. I want to wish each and every one of you a happy Valentine's Day. Back to you, Director.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day in advance, indeed. Thank you for reminding me. I had forgot, and I could get in a lot of trouble for forgetting Valentine's Day. As I mentioned at the top, we have with us this afternoon, Director Darrell Joshin of the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency to share some information on an important collaboration with the EPA, Port Hamilton, and the Government of the Virgin Islands concerning the cleanup of the hazardous material or hazardous chemicals at the refinery. So I'll turn over the briefing this afternoon now to Director Joshin. Director.
Thank you, Director Moda, and good afternoon. I'm Darrell D. Joshin, the Director for the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency. VITEMA has formed a task force consisting of members of the St. Croix Environmental Local Emergency Planning Committee, known as the LEPC, which reactivated back in May of 2021 following the Lime Tree Bay refining flare incident. The Environmental Local Emergency Planning Committee is focused on supporting the Federal Superfund Amendments and Reauthorization Act, known as SARA or SARA, Title III, as well as the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act, EPCRA, of 1986, and reports to the Virgin Islands Environmental Emergency Response Commission, known as the VIERRC, chaired by Director, myself, of VITEMA, Darrell D. Joshin, and Deputy Chair is Commissioner of Planning and Natural Resources, Commissioner Jean-Pierre Oriol. The role of the task force is to work in cooperation with the EPA, OSHA, Port Hamilton Refinery and Transportation, and local community during the preparation and removal of hazardous chemicals identified by the EPA during the press conference release on February 9, 2023. The EPA press release announced conditional approval of Port Hamilton's plan to remove dangerous chemicals from the St. Croix refinery. The task force includes members from key local agencies involved in emergency preparedness and response to hazardous chemical spill or an air release impacting the community. In anticipation of the EPA approval, the environmental LEPC has been meeting with both the EPA and Port Hamilton on a bi-weekly basis since October of 2022. Other members on the task force include VITEMA, DPNR, VI Fire EMS, Department of Health, Department of Human Services, Department of Labor, OSHA, National Guard, VI Police Department, VI Port Authority, Wanaflee Hospital, and the Government House Joint Information Center. Select members of this environmental LEPC will join with the EPA on a virtual community outreach scheduled for this Wednesday, February 15th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and provide updates regularly to scheduled press conferences such as this. The environmental LEPC will also report to the VIERRC for reports progresses as needed. Please monitor the Government House as well as the VITEMA Facebook pages for links to the virtual community outreach for this Wednesday evening. Over the last 30 days, the EPA, in support with VITEMA, DPNR, and Department of Health, has identified 6 air monitoring stations and activated 4 of them are located outside the Port Hamilton security fence. The final 2 anticipate to be completed by the end of this week. The stations are designed to monitor for elevated readings of hazardous chemicals which may indicate a release at levels which could be harmful to individuals. Based on the level of chemical release, VITEMA and DPNR will be notified by the EPA and, if needed, will provide the community an awareness message using the VITEMA Alert VI notification system. The following is a summary of the Port Hamilton approved plans by the EPA as of February 9, 2023. The first chemical is ammonia. The plan requires Port Hamilton Refining and Transportation and contractors to make repairs to the system before beginning the removal work. The Port Hamilton contractors will remove the anhydrous ammonia by transferring the ammonia to specifically designed shipping containers. Contractors will then purge and treat the remaining ammonia vapors from the system under close supervision to prevent the vapors from escaping. The second chemical is liquefied petroleum gas, known as LPG. After the ammonia removal work is complete, LPG will be transferred to shipping containers, and containers will be depressurized to remain hydrocarbon vapors in the containers, and in the process, equipment and piping, and transfer it to a thermal oxidizer for destruction. Nitrogen will be used to remove any residual hydrocarbon vapors from the system, which will again be routed to the thermal oxidizer. The EPA has approved this plan to remove the LPG on condition with the Port Hamilton and its contractors apply for and comply with necessary air permits from the Virgin Islands Department of Planning and Natural Resources associated with the removal of the LPG. The last chemical is amines. Amine liquid containing hydrogen sulfide will be transferred into appropriate shipping containers that will be shipped off island. The EPA has approved the plan to remove the amine liquid on the condition that Port Hamilton and its contractors accept the EPA's removal plan recommendations, make repairs to the system before beginning the work, and apply for and comply with necessary air permits from DPNR associated with removal of the amines. Once this operation begins, the EPA will conduct round-the-clock air monitoring to ensure people's safety. EPA will display a real-time air monitoring results on a website that will be linked from the EPA's refinery on the St. Croix website, which already exists, but is still being finalized and it's not currently active to the public. The EPA will continue to coordinate closely with the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands emergency management and environmental experts. The Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency is the coordinating agency of the U.S. Virgin Islands for emergency readiness and response. Now, over the next 30 days, our task force will continue to meet weekly and is scheduling a tabletop exercise with all key stakeholders prior to any movement of the 3 chemicals, which is anticipated to begin in mid-March. On a different note, for those businesses wanting to request a curfew pass for the 2023 hurricane season, please visit the VITEMA website and Facebook page to download application forms. All submissions are due to VITEMA no later than 1 June 2023. Curfew passes are good for 2 years, so be sure to check your passes as they may already be good through December 2023. Finally, as always, VITEMA reminds you to be prepared, stay informed, and be vigilant. Thank you very much. Director Mota.
Thank you, Director. As Commissioner Encarnacion mentioned earlier, the 51st Annual Agriculture and Food Fair is upon us and will take place this weekend, Saturday, February 18th through Monday, February 20th. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Virgin Islands Department of Agriculture and the Board of Directors of the Virgin Islands Agriculture and Food Fair on the 51st anniversary of AgriFest. Its continued success is a testament to the hardworking and dedicated organizers of this much anticipated and widely attended annual event. The Brian Roach administration is committed to continuing the development of a strong and viable agriculture industry in terms of jobs, financial opportunity, and economic impact. And as we shift to the digital age of business, to serving as a catalyst for the next generation of farming. We are making notable progress in this endeavor with investments in agribusiness, improvement to the agriculture infrastructure, and the completion of the USVI agriculture plan, which was developed to increase agriculture productivity, sustainability, and profitability. Best wishes to the crop farmer of the year, livestock farmer of the year, and apiary of the year, who will all be announced at a ceremony prior to the opening of the agricultural fair on Saturday. So congratulations in advance to those individuals who will take home those awards. Speaking of things to do this weekend, the Department of Tourism and United Jazz Foundation is bringing the world of jazz to St. Croix, and with the Caribbean Music Festival, a series of free public concerts that begin at the Vern I. Richards Veteran Memorial Park on Friday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. This Friday's lineup is headlined by Diane Reeves and includes Calvin Johnson and Native Son with the St. Croix Big Band. Additional concert dates are March 25th and May 27th. Each night features local acts and internationally recognized headliners celebrating music through the U.S. Virgin Islands' unique backdrop. So mark your calendars and stay tuned for continued information. For questions, please email the United Jazz Foundation at nicole@unitedjazz.org. And remember to bring your chair and a blanket if you're coming out. So for everyone on the Big Island and those of you who will be traveling to the Big Island for this weekend's festivities, please be safe, and like the Commissioner mentioned, use those common sense principles to help protect yourself against the COVID-19 and pandemic, right? We're still calling it a pandemic, or should I say endemic? The COVID-19 endemic. Just you know, do the common sense things. Wear your mask if that makes you feel more comfortable. Walk with your hand sanitizer, like the Commissioner mentioned. And of course, go get vaccinated if you haven't done so, and boosted if you haven't done so already. In closing this afternoon, St. John resident Dion Wells Hendrington, Dr. Dion Wells Hendrington, will be officially sworn in as Commissioner of the Department of Education at the St. John Battery in Cruz Bay this Wednesday, February 15th at 11 a.m. You can view the event via Facebook Live right here on our Facebook page at facebook.com/governmenthouse-USVI and via the Government Access channel, which again is channel 27 if you have VIA. That concludes our briefing this afternoon. We have Lasiba Knight from the St. Croix Avis with us in person. Thank you, Lasiba, and I will, if you have any questions, you can ask them now.
I have 3 questions, one for each of you.
Sure.
Ladies first. Commissioner Encarnacion, I was just wondering, right, with the end of the COVID state of emergency upcoming in March, will the territory be able to continue offering things like free COVID-19 testing for residents, vaccinations? We also get support with sourcing retroviral therapies for COVID, and when they're available, monoclonal antibodies. So I'm wondering what the territory's ability to respond to COVID will look like after the end of the state of emergency.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're really hoping that everyone goes out and get their bivalent. Just to let you know, before I answer your question, a correction in terms of the monoclonal antibodies. They're no longer available because they're not responding anymore to the current variant that is available. And so is some of our other arsenals, as Dr. Hunt speaks to them. So we have to be very cautious. We're doing a lot ourselves right now locally, so we'll be able to continue a lot of things that we are doing. For example, all the testing, our epidemiology department conducts the testing. We have purchased a lot of the testing equipment and supplies, so we'll be able to go beyond that. We've received COVID funding, and that is up until 2025. So that's the funding that we're using right now to conduct our testing. It is going to affect, for example, PAFFORD staffing within the hospitals, and so we're working closely with the hospitals to ensure that they go on to separate contracts with either PAFFORD or other staffing agencies that if that is required to increase the number of staff, nurses, as well as clinical staff in general that need within the hospital system. And I'm also part of the board, so I'm working with them as well.
Awesome.
So those kind of things, but we're doing a lot on our own right now.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And Director Joshin, how is this cleanup being funded? During Lime Tree's bankruptcy proceedings, they claimed at a time when they had millions of dollars in their coffers that they didn't have the ability to fund this cleanup. They couldn't, properly dispose of the LPG, the amines, and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering what kind of funding commitments have been made toward these plans, and who has made those funding commitments?
The question has to do with the funding between the cleanup from EPA and Port Hamilton, correct? Mm-hmm. Right
Exactly.
now, yeah, I would say I don't have the answer to that. But I would think the relationship has been to the EPA and Port Hamilton. My focus has been pretty much on the safety aspect of this. But every step of the way, we've been very much involved with the communication between EPA and Port Hamilton, but not to the level that I'm discussing the funding aspect of it.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Director Moda, WAPA has, on St. Croix, seriously regressed in its ability to provide consistent, reliable electrical service for the community. The reasons as to why, they can't afford to pay for propane to the levels that they were used to, and now there's no framework for an agreement to get back on track with propane. So I'm wondering, what is the plan to get more reliable service on St. Croix from a WAPA standpoint?
Well, I won't speak for the utility, but from Government House, we have been working with WAPA and with our federal partners to introduce more renewables to the grid to assist WAPA. Obviously, the issues that the authority has with its propane supplier predate the administration. And it really encumbers the authority's ability to provide affordable and efficient energy to reliable power to the ratepayers at its currently. That is something that is being worked on. As you know, it's no secret that the Virgin Islands government has subsidized the authority with its finances for quite some time now. We are continuing to do that until an agreement is worked out with the authority and its propane supplier. Those conversations are underway. I'm not at liberty to discuss what those conversations are, but those conversations are underway. And in terms of the plan is to free the authority of this debt that it has, so that it can continue its mission to introduce more renewables onto the grid, which in turn will equate to savings for the ratepayers, more reliable service and savings to the ratepayers.
Awesome. And just to piggyback onto that, renewables are years down the line in terms of coming online in the territory, mm-hmm. especially on St. Croix. Mm-hmm. Even the ability to focus on moving forward with renewables at the utility has been consumed by this present crisis. They don't, they lost the COO the other day. They don't have the wherewithal to handle both at once.
Well, so it's sort of, there's multiple things happening at the same time, right? So there's the plan to introduce renewables onto the grid that is projected to take about 2 years best case scenario. But then there is also the build out of the smaller and more fuel efficient propane generators that is happening right now. That's the Wärtsilä units in St. Thomas, and we have the smaller, more efficient ones here on St. Croix as well. And so that's happening right now as we speak. And then the plan to introduce those renewables is, like you mentioned, further down the line, about 2 years projected.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lasiba. That concludes, we have the Virgin Islands Daily News joining us virtually. I'm not quite sure which reporter, but go ahead, Virgin Islands Daily News.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Suzanne.
Good afternoon, Suzanne.
I also have 3 questions. I'll try to make them.
Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me?
You're cutting in and out, so it's a little difficult. Go ahead.
Okay, it happens every time. Can you explain Governor Bryan's recent criticism of the EPA's enforcement action, given what we now know about the ongoing dangers posed by the chemical still at the refinery? Does the governor still believe the enforcement action was malicious and illegal? And
what the governor mentioned was that the enforcement action that the EPA took, which was one that it rarely uses, was not necessary at the time because the refinery wasn't operating at the time the EPA took the enforcement action. And he was just expressing a general frustration that he feels the EPA has been heavy-handed in its dealing with the U.S. territory. We see the refinery as a major economic driver, and of course, everyone, the primary concern is the health and safety of the community. But the governor has just expressed frustration that the EPA seemingly does not have any consideration for the fact that this is a primary economic driver in the community and is not willing to meet the operators of the refinery halfway, and it just is being heavy-handed. That was all the governor's sentiments was expressing. There are many places throughout the United States that has industrial sites that have hazardous chemicals and are operated in a relatively safe manner, and the EPA has oversight over those, and those are able to operate safely in a manner that considers the health and well-being of the residents in the nearby locales. It just seems like the EPA, from the governor's perspective, is not considering that as a possibility here in the Virgin Islands. That's what the governor was expressing.
But doesn't the refinery have a documented history of not operating safely, which continues to this day?
The refinery is under new ownership, and so the new ownership would have, I mean, shouldn't the new ownership have the opportunity to prove that they can operate the refinery safely with EPA monitoring?
There was already a fire that injured a firefighter at the refinery while under new ownership.
Okay, and so your question is?
Isn't that a documented history of a threat to public health?
In your opinion, but what is your question?
I'll move on. Can you please explain why the transparency website was taken down and what kind of maintenance is being done?
The Office of Management and Budget explained that in a press release last week. I'm pretty sure you got that. There is routine maintenance being done on that website. They have to update reports and they have to do audits on certain reports that are posted to that website. They offered alternate websites where you can access the financial information that is contained on the transparency.gov website, and you're well aware of that because you received that press release as well, and it was printed in the Virgin Islands Daily News last week.
Correct. What kind of routine maintenance is taking a month to do?
They're running audits on reports. I don't have the details on that, but that's the information that I have, Suzanne. Thank you.
Okay. Is Government House going to respond to our open records request that was submitted in November? And is OCR or the police department going to do any public education about the new cannabis law? And is there a timeline for implementation?
I can't answer the last question, but for the public records request, yes, we're complying with that, and you should hear from us shortly.
So there's no timeline for implementation of a law, and there's no public education campaign that's going to happen?
I didn't say that there wasn't a timeline. I just said that I don't have that information right now.
Very well. Let me know when you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Suzanne. All right, that concludes our briefing this afternoon. We have one more reporter who is joining us virtually, Matt Probasco from the Virgin Islands Source. Go ahead, Matt.
Hi, a question for Director Josh. How long roughly will the removal of the chemicals take, do you know?
The process is going to be under scrutiny of the EPA in Port Hamilton. Also, as I mentioned, it has to get a permit from DPNR for that. So that's going to be subject to change as things progress. So I can't give you a hard and fast, but I know it's a sequential removal, starting with ammonia first, then going to LPG, and finalizing with the amine.
Okay, so you don't know.
Do you have another question?
All right, thank you. No, that's
Okay. Thank you. That concludes our briefing this afternoon. Next Monday is a holiday, which is President's Day. And so we will have our weekly press briefing on Tuesday, February 21st, rather, at 1 p.m. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.